here we are. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Andrea. How do you start a video off like this? I'll tell you how. Cheers to the most wonderful woman in my life. Such a strong, powerful woman. She didn't even realise what a powerful and strong woman she was. I'll tell you, somebody that lived with her for years, she was amazing, truly amazing. To my mum. You know, one day I might tell you the wonderful love story between my mum and dad. They had an amazing love story, and it shows her true strength and what she went through for the man that she adored. That's for another day. So here we are. The day that I knew would come. I'd quite often thought about the day that my mum would take her last breath, which she did on the 3rd of the 1st, 2019. So for me, I guess it kind of started on the 24th. My mum, I really felt, wasn't well, and I called the doctor out on the 24th, Christmas Eve. Doctor came out, checked her, wasn't overly concerned after doing her stats. I was concerned. I'm not one for calling the doctor out willy-nilly, you know, but her colouring just wasn't good. You know, my mum had good days and bad days. It was just the way it was. And if you've been watching my vlogs, you'll know the past few months we've had more bad days than good days, but it's because we now know what it was leading up to. So if you're tuning in for the first time, my mum suffered with dementia, but I really don't want to dwell on that disease too much just now. I've given it enough of my time. My mum gave it enough of her life, so we're just going to leave that one aside. But that was the root cause, her dementia. And that's what was put on her death certificate as well. That was the cause of death. So Christmas Eve, the doctor came out, checked her, wasn't concerned. Christmas Day came and went. I couldn't get her downstairs again. If you've watched, you'll know I was in the process of trying to get a stair lift because I couldn't take my mum downstairs anymore. Her mobility was getting less and less, and you know, we were managing still to get her from here to the bathroom, get her washed. I always wanted her in a routine. I never wanted her stuck in a bed day in, day out. I was always quite adamant she would get up. The more we moved her, the better it would be for her. So that was Christmas Eve. Christmas Day came and went. Boxing Day came and went. Again, she wasn't great. You know, she started dribbling her food out, things like that. The real change in my mum was on the 28th, and I woke up, came through as I always did, and I found her quite sweaty and shaking. And initially I thought she was having withdrawal symptoms from one of her medications that we had stopped. It was a medication that was used to calm her down when she was quite aggressive with dementia, and it really looked as if she was having withdrawal symptoms. Like, I called the doctor out. He came out. He thought it was a urine infection, prescribed tablets for a urine infection, and that seemed to help. It stopped all the shaking, like convulsions actually, and it seemed to calm her down. I was still able to feed her. I was still managing to give her her medication. On the Saturday, the 29th, that would have been the next day, the weekend carers came in, and I had her in the bed. I'd kept her in the bed the day before on that day, and they were washing her in the bed, and they discovered this ulcer in her groin. It was awful. And I called NHS 24 around about lunchtime. They didn't come out until the evening, and that was after I had a total meltdown with them, and I said to them, look, an old woman with dementia might not matter to you, but she certainly matters to me. My mum needs a doctor now. And they tried to get the nurses out. The nurses had already come out because I had phoned them, and they had said no, she needs a doctor. So eventually the doctor came out on the Saturday, prescribed new antibiotics for this ulcer, and said to me to call my own doctor out on the Monday when the surgery opened again. So I called the doctor out on the Monday, which was New Year's Eve, and he came out and prescribed new antibiotics and sat us down and basically said that there wasn't much hope. But he was prescribing the new antibiotics. You know, I did have a choice of taking my mum to the hospital, which would mean more aggressive treatment, but then how much longer would she get? Was it fair on my mum? And I never ever wanted my mum to... I wanted my mum's final moments to be with me, here, with me in the house. So we kept her home. I continued to give her her antibiotics. I also brought in the priest. I kind of knew. I knew on the Saturday that my mum was going. In fact, on the Saturday I lay in the bed with her and I just cuddled into her, and I knew. I didn't need anybody to tell me. I knew. Although knowing and accepting are two different things. Although I knew, I didn't accept it. I was still fighting her corner. I was still trying to give her the antibiotics. I was still feeding her. And when the priest came and gave her her Holy Communion, basically it's like your last rites and her prayers, you know, he says to me, you need to allow her to leave. You need to let her go, which I wasn't willing to do yet. So that was New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, we kind of just carried on, and the doctor came back out on the 3rd. On the 2nd, I was really struggling to get anything down her. I was still managing wee bits of yoga, but give her her medication. I would syringe water in. I was really struggling to give her anything. On the 3rd, I'd literally given up. But I did ask, when the doctor came out on the 3rd, I said to him I wasn't managing to give her her diabetes medication, and could he give her insulin. At this point he wasn't willing to give her insulin. He didn't see the point. And I also asked him to take her pulse because I couldn't find her pulse. My mum was still breathing. You know, when I tried to give her water, she would nod no and lift her eyebrows, which is a Greek way of saying no. He couldn't find her pulse either. So this was on the 3rd, and which meant it was extremely weak. Her heartbeat was about 100 beats a minute. So, you know, her heartbeat was still going. And I knew that day, I knew that it was coming close, but I still wasn't willing to let her go. That evening, Rico said to me he was taking the dogs for a walk. This was about coming up for 10 o'clock. He said he was going to take the dogs for a walk, and for me it was almost a relief, because I wanted that moment so it would just be the two of us, just my mum and I. And it was at that moment I accepted, and I said my goodbyes, and I apologised for sometimes saying things that I really didn't mean, but it was just through sheer tiredness. And I just told her how much I loved her, and I kissed her, and I held her. My mum held my hand until she couldn't hold my hand any longer. And actually, thinking back, it was the most perfect moment. And I told her all this. And at that moment Rico came in, and he came in, I said, my mum's going. Phone George, because he was the only one that was here. Because of course it's Milton Keynes, and Luke was in Edinburgh. And I said, phone George if he wants to come, because my mum's going. and she looked at me. She hadn't opened her eyes for a couple of days, and she just opened her eyes wide. She looked at me, and she looked up, and she took her last breath. And you know, thank God I was with her. For me, if you can see it, it was the most perfect moment. I feel so blessed that I was with her at that moment. I kept her here all night. I'm a great believer in the spirit, and I wanted to make sure her spirit was left here. I didn't want her taken away. So we left her here. We phoned the undertaker, and I had the option. I kept her here all night, and I sat with her. I got cold because we had to keep the room very cold, and I opened the window as well. So I kept her here, and I'm so glad I did. So the undertaker arrived in the morning and took her away. So that's basically, those were the days of my mum's departure from this life. At the moment, cheers. So my mum's wishes were always to be laid to rest with my dad. My dad is in Cyprus. I don't think my mum realised that her last days would be here in Scotland. I think she kind of assumed they would be in Cyprus. But anyway, so her wishes were to be with my dad. So this is what we are now trying to arrange, which has proved to be not difficult, but you know, there's always things in the way. Initially we thought she would be flying out. Today's the 13th, I think. I've lost all track. I think it's the 13th today, or the 12th, I don't know. I'll tell you. So today's the 12th of January. My mum is still here in the funeral parlour. We've been to visit her a few times. She is dressed in the outfit that she wore at Costa's wedding, my eldest son's wedding. She has her pearls on. She looks beautiful. She has her pearls on her hand, her watch, her earrings. She looks lovely. And you know, my mum had a very, very, very peaceful last few days. And when she took her last breath, she was very peaceful, and she was very beautiful and very young looking. In fact, when Costa came up to say his goodbyes to Jaya, he kind of did an overnight because Kelly's expecting, so you know, even that wasn't a great idea because she could have gone at any time. But anyway, he even looked at his Jaya and he said, what age was she? She looks so young. And she really did look young. So we've been up a couple of times. So we're in the process now of trying to fly my mum out to Cyprus for her final resting place. So it's over a week now and we still haven't done that. We finalised everything yesterday, so she'll be flying out on Sunday and the funeral should be on Tuesday. I think that would be the 22nd. So that's where we're at just now. I just wanted to come on here and give you all an update because I have had so many messages and just people coming onto my Instagram and just saying, just checking in on you, are you okay? And it's, you know, you all have been truly amazing. The messages I get. Mimi sends me a little video every day, little update, and the flowers, my house is filled with flowers and cards. The messages on my Instagram, the private messages, absolutely unbelievable, and I thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I truly do. You have all been so amazing. So that's basically how that's basically my mum's update. I really want to celebrate my mum's life, and if this has taught me one thing, is to appreciate every moment and to appreciate the people in your life. And I know we kind of go through these phases when something like this happens, but I'm really gonna try and focus on that. I've always loved family. I've always loved having family around about me, but time as well. Appreciate the time you spend with people, the time we have in this life. Let's not waste it. And this is how I intend to go forward. Yes, I am in mourning just now for my mum. I am mourning the loss of my mum, but I'm also going to make the most of the time I have here and make the most of it, you know. That's my intention, and not dwell on things. Of course I have my down days and my meltdown moments, but I'm really thinking, but I'm really going to make a point of being positive. That's my goal of the year. Be positive about everything rather than negative, rather than the negative things in life. I want to be positive and enjoy what I have now. Enjoy that I can look at my children and recognize my children and my grandchildren, and that's an amazing thing in itself. So I thank you again for everything. Cheers to you, cheers to life, and cheers to the most wonderful woman, my mum. Cheers.